All right, time for us to say good afternoon to Dr. Joe Schwarcz, host of the Dr. Joe Show, Sundays at 3 here on CJAD, and of course, director of the McGill Office of Science and Society. So, Joe, I sent you this because I came across it, and as it turns out, today is actually National Hydration Day. Don't know if you knew that. It is. It's actually on the calendar, yeah. So I thought we'll talk about that. Now, the understanding was as things got fancier and fancier, right, and there was more stuff for us to drink, when Gatorade first came along, but then we were told, really all you need is water. All the other stuff is basically superfluous. So what's the deal on hydration?
Well,
is
it
water
depends,
enough?
Aaron. It depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're really into heavy-duty exercise and you're sweating for more than an hour, you do need to replace some of your electrolytes because they are lost in the sweat. Now, by electrolytes, we mean sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and chloride ions. And these are very important in the bloodstream because they regulate many biological functions. But when you're sweating, you're losing not only water, but also these electrolytes that are dissolved in the water. But if you're doing your casual gym exercise, you don't need to replace electrolytes. It is enough to drink water. Now, there are some people who work outside in very hot weather, construction workers, people who pick crops, and people who do roofing and are exposed for hours to high temperatures and sweat all the time. Yes, they will need some sort of electrolyte replacement. It's also the case for people who have some gastric problems. If they're food poisoning and they're vomiting and have diarrhea, because you lose a lot of moisture and electrolytes like that. So they would need replacement. And then, of course, marathoners and competitive bicyclists. That's a totally different story. They have to be very well hydrated. They have to take electrolytes, and they also have to supplement with carbohydrates for energy. But that's a very small segment of the population who are into, marathons or competitive cycling. So for most of us, water is perfectly fine as a beverage. But really, in terms of exercise, the time frame you want to keep in mind is an hour. If you're exercising for more than an hour with heavy sweating, then you consider taking electrolytes.
Okay.
But, I see a lot of kids drinking all these sports drinks for no reason. And certainly some of them have a significant amount of sugar, which is fine when you're doing the marathon, but not for kids.
Okay. Which is, of course, that whole Quebec issue of, those drinks now, those sports drinks, the energy drinks, not for kids under the age of 16.
Well, the energy drink, that's another issue because they contain significant amounts of caffeine, which kids certainly do not need.
All right.
But they're so heavily marketed, like when you go to the Bell Center, so many ads for the Monster beverage and these kind of things, and of course people see that all the time, and kids see that, and you get this idea that you're going to have extra energy if you drink these things. Well, caffeine is a stimulant, but it's not a stimulant that a kid needs.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Tell me what else you wanted to talk about in terms of natural toxins. I don't know anything about this.
I tell you what brought up that story is this rather interesting crime investigation that I've been looking into in Australia, where a lady by the name of Erin Patterson poisoned and killed her in-laws and another couple by putting mushroom toxins into their food. And, most of us don't think very much of, dying from eating food. But there are many natural toxins, of which the mushroom ones are the most potent. And now there are minor things in, that green potatoes, for example, can contain solanine, and that can give you somewhat of an upset stomach. Cassava, if it's not properly prepared, has cyanide. You know what happens if you don't cook beans properly, right? You get to be jet propelled. So there are these things, but the mushroom, especially the so-called death cap mushroom, is a totally different story. These are so toxic that even in milligram amounts, they will kill you. And that is exactly what this lady made use of. She picked some of these mushrooms, Amanita phalloides is what they're called. And if you know what you're doing, you recognize these mushrooms, you can pick them. They do grow in the wild. And she invited her in-laws and another couple for lunch and fed them beef Wellington that was laced with a gravy into which she had cooked these mushrooms. She had also invited her estranged husband, but he was pretty smart. He was scared of her because he thought that she had tried to poison him previously. So there were 4 people, 3 of them died, and the 4th one spent months in hospital and still has lingering problems. Wow. And she was convicted of the 3 murders and sentenced to 33 years in jail. She's in her I think 60s, so she'd be pretty old by the time that she would get out. Mm-hmm. The prosecution actually wanted life imprisonment with no chance of parole because they thought the crime was so heinous. So there it is, murder with mushrooms.
By the way, so you said she picked these. You can touch them. You're not going to get anything that way. It's when they're actually cooked and ingested, right?
Yes, you have to. Okay. You have to eat them. You have to eat them. Now, of course, most mushrooms are fine to eat, and you don't have to worry about the mushrooms that you buy in the grocery store. In fact, there are suggestions that some of these mushrooms have health properties, like lion's mane, for example, which is supposed to have, anti-inflammatory effects. So there are some mushrooms that certainly can be incorporated into a healthy diet. But you don't want Amanita phalloides or Amanita muscaria.
Not that one either,
muscaria is the one that most people would get an image of a mushroom. That's what they would get in their mind because those are the ones with the red polka dots, like what you see on covers of Alice in Wonderland book, for example. So those are easily recognized, but those are also toxic.
Okay, but wait, these things are not native to us, are they?
Yes, you can find them in Canada.
Really?
Yeah, you can find them in Canada, yeah.
Uh-oh.
And of course, in Canada, we also find psilocybe mushrooms, which are the so-called magic mushroom. And that contains psilocybin, which is a hallucinogenic compound. And interestingly enough, that is now actually being explored medically with the possibility of treating depression and other mental conditions. Okay. So mushrooms are, absolutely fascinating fungi. And fungi are these living organisms that do not photosynthesize. They can't directly use the sunlight to grow, so they're parasites. They have to get their nourishment from elsewhere. That's why you often see them growing on trees.
Right.
So, anyway, fascinating story, and from Australia about this lady who murdered 3 people with mushrooms.
I'm looking forward to the Netflix documentary "Mushrooms for Murder." I think is probably what they'll be calling that.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, 3:45. What was that? M is for murder. M is for mushrooms. Maybe that would be the next movie.
Pride is like love. You feel it in your heart. iHeartRadio, Canada's #1 streaming app for radio and podcasts, including iHeart Pride Canada, your favorite hits, and must-have party bangers, plus personalized and curated playlists like Back in the Day Pride.
Come together, celebrate love.
Take Pride with you, anytime, anywhere. Just ask your smart speaker to play iHeart Pride Canada. Stream us on your phone or listen now at iHeartRadio.ca.